Have you ever wondered, after a lifetime of dedication, what will a great man leave for the next generation? In the glamorous world of musical icons, Geddy Lee, at the age of 71, is still a famous name. He has built a huge fortune from his illustrious career. However, it is worth mentioning that this fortune, which should be a source of comfort, sometimes becomes the cause of tears, not because of regret, but because of a deeper, more complex feeling. You are probably wondering, why can money make a family cry? Is it possible that behind that extreme wealth is a harsh lesson that we need to contemplate? From dreams to glory, in the vast musical universe, there are names that represent not only a band, a genre, but also a generation, a lifestyle. Geddy Lee, at 71 years old, is one of the few who have reached that stature. He is not only the legendary lead vocalist and bassist of the famous progressive rock band Rush, but also a living testament to an extraordinary journey from simple dreams in the beginning to the pinnacle of glory, creating a huge fortune that any artist must admire. A legacy that is not only measured by assets, but also by eternal spiritual values. Born Gary Lee Weinrib. The young man was born and raised in Toronto, Canada, and early on showed a strong passion for music. In the vibrant cultural context of the 60s and 70s, when the rock and roll wave was sweeping the world, Geddy was not just a passive fan. He was intensely attracted by the powerful melody of the guitar, the pounding rhythm of the drums, and especially the deep, powerful bass, the sound that would later become his own trademark. It was that instinctive call that urged him to pick up the bass guitar and start the first notes of his life. It was not just a temporary pleasure, but the seed of a big dream, a strong desire to create his own music, touching the hearts of listeners. The first and most important turning point in this journey was the fateful meeting with his close friend, who would later become his soulmate, guitarist Alex Lifeson. Two kindred spirits, two creative minds, quickly found each other in their shared passion for rock. Together, they practiced tirelessly, spending hours in damp basements and dusty warehouses, turning them into their own makeshift studios. During those endless practice sessions, under dim lights and thumping music, they sketched the first strokes of an ambitious musical picture, laying the first bricks for a rock empire that they could not even imagine. However, that picture was only truly complete and reached legendary stature when another important piece appeared, the genius drummer Neil Peart. With his complex technical drumming style and poetic lyric writing ability, Neil added a philosophical depth and explosive energy that Rush lacked. The combination of Geddy's unique bass and soaring vocals, Alex's creative guitar, and Neil's complex rhythms created a powerful trio, an unbelievable synergy. They were not just a band, they were a living entity, a perfectly functioning musical machine ready to conquer the world. From here, Rush was officially born, not just a band name, but a symbol of a music genre, a lifestyle, and a spirit of constant exploration, surpassing all limits. The journey to become a legend of Geddy Lee and Rush was not a path filled with roses, but a thorny path requiring absolute sacrifice and dedication. They had to face the skepticism of critics, the indifference of some producers, and countless pressures from the harsh music industry. However, with innate talent, relentless perseverance, and a strong belief in the music they were pursuing, they gradually overcame everything. Every note that Geddy's bass played, every soaring line from his throat, every philosophical lyric that Neil penned, and every explosive guitar riff that Alex sang were soaked in their sweat, tears, and passion. It was this extraordinary dedication and perseverance that laid the solid foundation for the enormous fortune that Geddy Lee owns today. That fortune is not just a material asset accumulated through decades of dedication, selling millions of albums, and performing countless sold-out tours. It is also a priceless spiritual legacy, a treasure trove of memories, lessons learned, and a name forever etched in the history books of music. Geddy Lee's journey is the story of how a true artist with talent and iron turned his early dreams into a brilliant reality and built a solid future not only for himself, but also for his family and the next generation of music. It is from this arduous, but also extremely brilliant journey that the story of Geddy Lee's legacy truly begins, a story that fills his family with boundless pride. Timeless musical heritage. When it comes to Geddy Lee's enormous legacy at the age of 71, the most important and shining part is the timeless musical legacy he left behind. This is not just about the numbers of albums sold or huge revenue, but also a great artistic treasure, a school of music that has shaped a generation and continues to touch millions of hearts. This legacy is the most precious gem, the pride that cannot be measured by money for his family. From the very beginning, Geddy Lee and Rush chose the uncharted path progressive rock. With his signature soaring voice and mesmerizing bass, Geddy has become an irreplaceable soul. He is not just a musician, but part of a complex soundscape, where every note, every lyric is woven from talent and endless creativity. Together with Alex Lifeson and Neil Peart, Geddy created epics that were not just songs, but philosophical stories, magnificent soundscapes. Albums like 2112 and Moving Pictures were not just commercial successes. They were shining milestones in the history of music. Each work was a challenge to the limits of rock, demonstrating Geddy Lee's vision and pioneering ability. On stage, he not only played the bass skillfully, but also sang and controlled the sound synthesizer, turning each concert into a peak experience, a performance of astonishing energy and precision. Geddy Lee's legacy is also strong through his far-reaching influence. Countless young musicians have found inspiration in Rush's complex bass techniques, unique song structures, and lyrical depth. He proved that music is not just entertainment, but also an art form capable of provoking thoughts and conveying meaningful messages. At 71 years old, Geddy Lee can be proud of the eternal treasure of art that he has contributed. His family has inherited not only a significant amount of material assets, but also a priceless spiritual legacy, living proof of the extraordinary talent, perseverance, and outstanding vision of a man who devoted his life to music. It is this legacy, more than any amount of money, that is truly their greatest and most precious pride. The legacy of humility and value. Behind the booming bass, soaring vocals, and dazzling stage lights, Geddy Lee was an incredible man in his own right, a rock icon who chose to live a simple and humble life. At 71, he not only had a huge fortune in both material and musical terms, but also left behind a legacy of character, a priceless asset that his family cherishes. In an industry often dominated by extravagance and ostentation, Geddy Lee was a special case. Despite reaching the pinnacle of fame and accumulating a fortune that many dream of, he maintained a low-key, unpretentious demeanor. He rarely appeared on the covers of gossip magazines about his personal life, nor did he attend the noisy parties of showbiz. Instead, Geddy Lee chose to live a relatively private life, focusing on his greatest passion, music, and spending time with his family and personal interests. Geddy Lee's simplicity is evident in the way he treats his fans and colleagues. He is known as a friendly, approachable artist, always willing to share his stories and experiences. In his book, Geddy Lee's Big Beautiful Book of Bass, or Interviews, he not only talks about the instrument, but also about memories and lessons learned from an illustrious career, all told sincerely, without any exaggeration. That is the demeanor of someone who truly loves his profession. Someone who understands that his value does not lie in the amount of money in his account, or the flashy appearance on the outside, but in what he has contributed and the way he lives. It is this modesty and simplicity that has further strengthened the value of Geddy Lee's huge fortune. It shows that his material assets are not the ultimate goal, but the result of a life of true artistic work, a spirit of continuous learning and self-improvement. His family, who have always been by his side through all the ups and downs, will certainly be extremely proud not only of his resounding successes or his huge fortune, but also of the man with such a respectable personality. This is a man who lived fully with his passion, maintained his personal values, and left behind a legacy not only of music, but also of humility and integrity, a precious spiritual legacy far beyond anything money can buy. The foundation of wealth. The most solid foundation for Geddy Lee's fortune comes from his extraordinary music career with the band Rush. Over 4 decades of activity, Rush has established itself as one of the most successful progressive rock bands of all time. Their album sales have reached dizzying numbers with over 40 million copies sold worldwide. Classic albums such as 2112, Moving Pictures, or Permanent Waves are not only artistic milestones, but also huge money-making machines continuously bringing in millions of dollars in revenue. As one of the 3 core members and main songwriter, Geddy Lee receives a significant portion of every record sold. In addition to revenue from album sales, global tours also contribute a significant part to his fortune. Rush is famous for being a band with the ability to perform at the highest level, attracting millions of passionate fans to fill the world's largest stadiums and theaters. High ticket prices, a high number of shows, and an extremely loyal fan base have turned each tour into a huge source of profit. From ticket sales to merchandise to sponsorship deals, all have contributed to Geddy Lee's fortune, proving that onstage talent can also translate into financial prosperity. Music copyright ownership is another stable and sustainable source of income. With hundreds of songs written and recorded, Geddy Lee and the members of Rush own the rights to their works. This ensures that they receive royalties every time their music is played on radio, television, streaming platforms, or used in movies and commercials. This is a passive but continuous stream of money that lasts for generations, creating a solid financial source for the future. Geddy Lee is not only a talented artist, but also demonstrates sharp financial vision through his personal investments. In a volatile industry like music, diversification of assets is the key to ensuring stability. He has invested in many different areas, including real estate in prime locations and strategic business partnerships related to the entertainment industry. These decisions have not only protected his assets, but also helped them grow significantly over time. A significant portion of Geddy Lee's wealth comes from personal passions that he has turned into valuable investments. He is an avid collector with many valuable collections. Most notably, his rare wine collection is considered one of the largest and most valuable collections of artists, with many vintage bottles of wine that have increased in value over time. In addition, Geddy Lee also owns a huge and extremely impressive collection of basses and classical guitars. The book, Geddy Lee's Big Beautiful Book of Bass, revealed more than 260 unique instruments that he accumulated, from legendary Fenders, Gibsons to rare instruments from lesser-known brands. Many of these instruments not only have historical and artistic value, but also extremely high financial value, especially when they were once owned by a legend like him. Auctions of these instruments, even just a small part of the collection, can easily bring in millions of dollars. His passion for baseball also led him to collect rare memorabilia, especially baseballs signed by legends. These items, with their cultural and historical value, often sell for very high prices at auction. All of these collections are not just hobbies, but strategic investments, contributing significantly to Geddy Lee's total net worth. Recent estimates put Geddy Lee's net worth at around $100 million. This figure reflects not only his commercial success, but also the result of his wise financial management, diversified investments, and ability to turn personal passions into profitable assets. For Geddy Lee's family, this wealth is not just wealth, but also tangible evidence of the greatness of the man they love and respect, a legacy of hard work, intelligence, and vision. Geddy Lee's family and legacy. Although the life of a rock star is often associated with hustle and bustle, noise, and endless tours, Geddy Lee has created for himself a peaceful home, a solid support in the harsh flow of the entertainment industry. His wife, Nancy Young, is not only his life partner, but also his confidant, going through all the ups and downs of his career. She witnessed Rush's difficult early days, the long nights of practice, the worries about the future, and then the glorious peak of glory. Nancy's strong relationships, silent support, and understanding are invaluable assets, helping Geddy Lee maintain balance, sobriety, and energy to continuously devote himself to music. Geddy Lee's two children also grew up in an environment full of love and encouragement, despite having a legendary father. He always tries to spend time with his family, balancing his massive career with his role as a father and husband. This is not an easy thing for artists with busy schedules. The family bond has created a solid foundation, allowing Geddy Lee to focus on his career without being distracted by personal pressures, thereby directly contributing to his resounding success and, of course, to the fortune he has built. When mentioning the huge fortune that makes his family proud, the meaning does not stop at the financial figures that Geddy Lee has accumulated. The family's tears, if any, are not because of being overwhelmed by the wealth, but rather deep emotion when realizing what he has contributed, the values he has lived, and the legacy he has left. The greatest pride of Geddy Lee's family is in the man he was: an incredibly talented artist, a tireless worker, a passionate collector, and a humble man, even at the height of his fame. They are proud of the music that defined an entire genre and the millions of fans around the world he inspired. Every tour, every platinum album, every prestigious award is the result of perseverance, professionalism, and a strong will, qualities that he has engraved into his legacy. Geddy Lee's legacy to the family is also priceless spiritual values. He taught his children and grandchildren the lesson of pursuing their passion to the end of constantly learning and challenging themselves. The family witnessed him overcome all difficulties and pressures to achieve success, which is a lesson in relentless effort. In any role, from musician, singer, producer, or collector, he always works with absolute dedication. And especially despite possessing a huge fortune and reputation, Geddy Lee still maintains a simple, unpretentious lifestyle, passing on a value of humility and appreciation for the essentials in life. These values, along with the memories, stories, and lessons from his life, create an invisible fortune that is more valuable than any material assets. Geddy Lee's family not only inherited wealth, but also inherited an inspiration and a name for them to continue to be proud of and follow. They are the successors and preservers of this living legacy, ensuring that the values that Geddy Lee created will continue to spread. Geddy Lee did not just build a music empire or accumulate material wealth. He created a profound human legacy, a treasure trove of memories, lessons, and inspiration that will be passed down through the generations. And while his bass still resonates and Rush's melodies still touch hearts, Geddy Lee's legacy will forever be the story of an extraordinary life, an example of dedication and an everlasting pride in his family.